I'm gonna get skewered for this one. Alright, this is my review of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Please don't kill me yet. I know most people don't like it, but I think especially in light of the prequel trilogy coming out, this movie looks a hell of a lot better than people say it does. In my opinion, at least. One of the few negative things I'll say about this movie is that the special effects have not aged well. You know, they're 90s special effects, but they're late 90s special effects. So they're still decent, and they kind of have that Star Wars charm to them. I would say the special effects probably haven't aged as well as the special effects did in the original trilogy, considering that the original trilogy is still fucking awesome today. The next massive complaint about this movie is that Anakin should have been older, or at least played by an older actor. I mean, oh man, some of the scenes between Anakin and Padme in this movie are so painful, and it just completely ruins the rest of the trilogy because those scenes were so bad. Now here's why, let me explain. Hold on. Anakin is, I believe the actor looks like he's 10 years old. And Padme is played by Natalie Portman, who is, I believe she was 17. So, I mean, the age difference is very clear and very drastic, and it makes a lot of the kind of, I guess, floating moments really awkward, or it's like, kind of like a brother-sister type interaction, you know? And she's like the older sister, he's like the younger brother. Either way you look at it, the scenes are very awkward. I mean, the dialogue isn't bad. Padme's character isn't bad. You know, she's kind of young, naive. She definitely has a sense of maturity about her, which is why she's the queen of Naboo. But she's still learning and growing. She's still a teenager. But Anakin is just a little kid. And a lot of his dialogue, his lines that he was given, weren't that bad, especially compared to Episode 2 and Episode 3. The relationship would have been so much more charming and cute if they had been played by older actors. Natalie Portman you probably could have kept, but you should have had whoever played Anakin probably should have been like early 20s. I don't care if you say he's 16 years old, 15 years old, whatever. You just need an older actor who can deliver the lines much better than, oh my god. I can't remember his name. I can't even remember the actor's name. Would have been so much better if an older actor would have played them, because then their relationship is more believable, it's not as awkward, and Anakin's character becomes so much better overall. I think one of the reasons I liked this movie so much when I was a kid is that Anakin was so young and I could relate to him because I was a kid, but as I've grown older, it's like, wow, he's just kind of an annoying brat a little bit, and I think that's why a lot of adults don't like this movie, is because they look at that and they can't relate to him. Now here's the difference with the original trilogy. Luke was young, he was older teenager, younger 20s during those movies. But a lot of adults like to picture themselves in what they would consider their physical prime, whatever, which is about that age range. You know, I'd say 18 through 30 is probably your physical prime. And a lot of adults like to think back on that time with kind of rose-tinted glasses, so they can put themselves into Luke's shoes and feel like they're part of the story. They can't do that with Anakin in this movie because he's a young kid, and so much of Anakin's character are tied to the deliverance of his lines in this movie that you cannot relate to him at all. The reason the awkwardness in the relationship between Anakin and Padme is so important is because in the next movie, George Lucas tries to make up for it and force the two together into a relationship. When, if he had just let that relationship happen naturally, he would have been able to focus on the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin in the next two films, and that payoff would have been so much better come Episode 4. Okay, now that most of my main gripes about this movie are out of the way, I'm going to kind of just go over what happened in the movie and how I feel about it. Now, the movie starts out, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon go to the Trade Federation's capital ship on Naboo. They try to negotiate a peace treaty for the Chancellor, but, you know, Palpatine is in charge of the Trade Federation, and he doesn't want that to happen, so he orders them to kill the Jedi. They don't kill the Jedi escape, and they're on Naboo. Now, when they get to Naboo, the worst character in all of Star Wars is revealed. Now, so much could have been fixed in this movie if Qui-Gon had just been like, huh? Sorry, I accidentally killed the Gungan. Oops. What was his name? I don't know. Who cares? Jar Jar is another reason that this movie has a childish tone to it, which makes it even more difficult for adults to get over the fact that Anakin is so young in this movie and he's the main character. And then the Jedi and Jar Jar go to the Gungan city, the Gungan capital. And you're just like, why the fuck are these guys here? What the fuck? What is their purpose? The Gungans are there because George Lucas was trying to come up with another unique and interesting species in the Star Wars universe. Which is exactly what he does. And it's horrible. It feels so forced and unnatural, the way they talk. It's just out of place. So the Jedi get to the capital in Naboo, and this is where you really start to see the age and the special effects and some of the scenery. With some of the scenes, it's very apparent that they enter stage right and exit stage left. Probably got that wrong. I don't care. But it's very clear that they're on some sort of stage. Now, the other stupid thing that happens on Tatooine is the midichlorians. Dumbest thing ever. Should have just let the Force be the Force, this energy that surrounds us and binds us. Would have been perfect. Then when it cuts to the Trade Federation and they're talking about searching for the Gungans, I'm like, did you not do your research before invading the damn planet? And you know, when you watch the pod racing scene for the first time, you're like, that's fucking awesome. And then your second thought number two was, I could do that. I could totally do that. Then when I was older, I got Lego Star Wars for the GameCube. And I was like, sweet, I could do the pod racing. And then doing the pod racing, it was like, oh yeah, I got this. Fuck! It was pretty funny when Watto rolled the gambling die. And you could clearly tell by his reaction that he was surprised that it came up blue. Because he totally had it weighted for red. And he expected to win the bet with Qui-Gon. But Qui-Gon's like, Force, I win. And he's like, you win this round, Jedi. That was pretty funny. I like that scene. And then Qui-Gon's other awesome scene at the pod race is when he's talking to Padme, and Padme's all upset about trusting Anakin to win the race for him and stuff. And Qui-Gon goes, the Queen trusts me. And he's a Jedi. He full well knows that Padme is the Queen. And he's just messing with it because he knows she can't break her cover. And then, as they're going back to their ship, fucking Darth Maul appears out of nowhere. And you're like, who's this guy? He's a badass, that's who. You're like, oh man, this must be like the Darth Vader of the prequels. He's gonna be the bad guy throughout the trilogy. No, he just dies at the end of the movie. Doesn't matter. I mean, he's in the Clone Wars, and he's fucking awesome in the Clone Wars, so why wasn't he in the rest of the movies? Because he's awesome in the Clone Wars. Then they go back to Coruscant, and I hear a lot of people complain about the political portion of the movie not being very interesting, but I'm like, this is so important in setting up what happens. Like, Palpatine is extremely manipulative, and it shows how powerful he really is, you know? And then the Jedi are testing Anakin and determining his fate and stuff like that. It's weird, though, because they react to him and take action out of fear. They're scared of what his future holds. So, because of their fear of that, they don't want to train him. Even at the end of the movie, Yoda says, grave danger I fear in his training. I thought Jedi weren't supposed to let fear be a motivator for them because that leads to the dark side, right? Then comes the big battle at the end of the movie. And it's okay. I mean, it's interesting and fun to watch, but you're not really invested in it. You don't really care about what's going on yet, at least, until you understand the significance of what Palpatine is doing. The end duel, however. Holy shit, the end duel. It is amazing. I mean, it was awesome seeing Obi-Wan in the end duel because you see how much of a badass he really is. Qui-Gon's death is important. Not in this movie, but come Episode 3, it is very important because he and Obi-Wan are the only ones in the Order that are shown to be able to think independently of what the Council believes. Without having Qui-Gon there in Episode 3, Anakin's turn to the dark side is much easier. In Episode 3, Obi-Wan's off on a mission. Had Qui-Gon been at the temple, he would have been able to help Anakin get through the lure of the dark side and overcome that. But because he's not there, he can't do that. Oh yeah, there's one thing that I found really funny in the end battle. The droids totally come over the Windows XP hill to attack. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. And am I the only one who thought this? Or does George Lucas not have any other ideas for big ships to be destroyed at the end of the movie than a sphere? I think the funeral at the end of the movie is a really great scene because it kind of foreshadows what's going to happen with Palpatine and everything. And it's also just very emotional in general. And it's kind of ominous because you don't know who the Sith is that is still out there. Was it the Master or was it the Apprentice? Okay. When Obi-Wan meets with Yoda at the end of the movie, I wish he would have been like, I'm the Grandmaster now. Yoda would have been like, Grandmaster, you are not. Obi-Wan would have been like, yeah, I killed the Sith. You haven't. I'm the Grandmaster. The other really important thing about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon is that throughout the movies and the TV show, they are the only ones who are shown to have emotions, yet they do not let their emotions cloud their judgment, as the movies put it. They have their emotions and they use them to advise their sense of purpose and their direction in life, but they don't rely on them. And had Qui-Gon stayed alive, I think he and Obi-Wan could have helped Anakin understand that too. I think they could have helped him use his emotions to drive himself rather than letting his emotions control him. It was really sad to see Qui-Gon die because after all, he, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Luke, of course, are the most human of all the Jedi. They're the ones that get the most screen time, so the most humanized. They're the ones that we're supposed to be able to relate with and connect to. So it was really sad seeing him die. Now, the biggest reason I think this movie is highly underrated, aside from all the stuff with Qui-Gon dying and the impact he could have had on Anakin, is that when Qui-Gon and Anakin are on Coruscant, Qui-Gon says to Anakin, "Your focus determines your reality," which completely sums up Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon as characters. They don't let their emotions become their focus. Their focus is always their purpose, their drive. They never allow themselves to completely block everything out and focus in on their emotions 100%. This is foreshadowing of what happens to Anakin at the end of Episode 3 of Revenge of the Sith. He blocks everything out and completely focuses on his fear of Padme dying. And because of this, that becomes his reality. This is a really small connection that I don't think a lot of people see, and I think is absolutely massive. And I've noticed it for the first time rewatching the movie for this video, and oh my god, I love this movie so much now. Okay, so my movie ranking system. Top tier. Jedi Master. Of course, I love Star Wars. Jedi Master isn't Grandmaster. I couldn't pick a favorite movie. But I think Jedi Master is a great rank to have at the top. Second highest ranking. Super. If I think a movie's super, that means it wasn't perfect, but it was really entertaining, had a lot of great points in it, the characters were probably pretty good. And I chose Super because I love the Super Nintendo. It's probably my favorite Nintendo console of all time, so I put it there. The middle of the road ranking is going to be 64. Not 50, 64. I chose 64 because the Nintendo 64 had a lot of games that had great potential, but the limitations of the system held them back. There were things in the movie that were great, but it had a lot of flaws and stuff that held it back. My second lowest rating, Coco approved. My dog's name is Coco. Love her to death. Just like me, she's lazy and likes to sleep a lot. So if I give it a Coco approved rating, probably going to sleep through the movie. Not bad. Probably going to sleep through it though. And my lowest rating. The script should probably be used as a fire starter when you have bonfires to cook hot dogs and marshmallows in the summer, because it needs to be purged from existence. Overall, I'm going to give Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, a super rating. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think. Follow me on my social medias. They're all linked in the description. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you laughed. If it wasn't with me, hopefully it was at me. And I will catch you guys in my next review. Later.